Toastmasters and fellow guests, it's great to be here, and I'm here to talk about kind words. They can change a person's day, and they can change a person's life. Some recent events at work have made it necessary for me to seek employment in other places. And as a result of this, I started to put together a list of folks who I would consider to work for. And people I'd worked in the past and companies that I thought were reputable. So I put this short list together, and I know quite a few people in the industry. And so I started making these phone calls to these people, and I arranged for some interviews, and I had a phone interview with a person who I'm going to get into a little more. His name is Mark Acuff. And Mark and I worked together 7 years ago. He was working for one company, and I was working for another, and we oversaw the design work for the PTIA expansion, the $500 million project, which included the runway, the taxiway, and the relocation of Bryan Boulevard. So we got to see Mark doing that, and he got to see how we managed. And what I found from Mark's conversation was that, number one, they didn't have work, which was kind of a letdown. But what he had to say in his kind words really affected me. He told me that he said I had a lot of character, and that the way I handled situations which weren't easy really made them feel good. And he didn't have to tell me these things, but he did. And after we got done with the conversation, it was great to talk with him, and he said he'd hire me if he had the position, but he doesn't. So I get done with the conversation, and I thought, it made me feel so great. These kind words that he didn't have to say, but he did. And it led me to think, where can I pay it forward and talk to other people and provide kind words to make them feel good? And also, it'd be a great Toastmasters talk. Of course. So a couple areas, 3 areas of my life, which I've been trying to apply my efforts more so, and the first one being in my family. When I'm in contact with my family, I like to tell them that I love them and tell them when they're doing a good job, tell them when they're not doing a good job, but try to use kind words. It's easy to find when people are doing things wrong, but it's more important to find when they're doing things right. And one of the avenues that I thought was would be a great way to make it better was to use text, the texting. Texting gets such a bad mess, you know, everybody's texting and it's no good. It's good. You know, if we use it for the right tool, and during the day while you're driving your car, no, don't drive your car. We can stop and just say a little, I love you, great job on that, whatever you did, whatever they did, you tell them that they did a good job, and then they know, and you reaffirm them. It's an awesome thing to be able to do. That's the one thing. The second is at work. It's, like I said, easy to find fault in what people do, but to say kind things to them when they're doing the right thing. I had a situation at work where my boss and I had to talk about some things that were not necessarily easy to talk about. And so I was thinking about what I was going to say over and over. This is going to be said, I'm going to went back and forth, and it wasn't going well in my head. And then I pulled out my phone, and I looked on it, and the banner, it says, kind words, because that's what I'm focused on. I said, well, geez, that's not kind words. And so I went into this conversation with my boss with thinking about kind words, and the conversation went totally different than the way I expected. It went very well. We both realized our shortcomings. We both realized where we were doing things good. I was able to compliment him, and we got stuff done, and it didn't end in a confrontational type of way. So the second way. The third, of course, is the Toastmasters. Right? We get positive feedback, we get kind words in Toastmasters. And this is something that I've had as a goal, and as you heard my introduction, I've always wanted to be the Streets Board, the American Public Works Association president. And I've been on the board for 4 years, and I knew that I was going to have to give a speech in front of a large audience, and that's one of the reasons why I joined Toastmasters. And so I arranged my speech.